Welcome back to the deep dive. We are looking at a single pivotal week today, January 26th to February 2nd, 2026. And I have to say, going through this stack of releases from Google, I had this realization. We might look back at the specific week as the moment the ground actually shifted.
It really feels that way.
Mm.
For the last few years, we've sort of been stuck in the generative era.
Right.
Models that read text, write poems, maybe generate a weird image. But looking at this stack, from the New World models to the updates in Chrome,
Yeah.
we are crossing a threshold into something else.
Right, the agentic pivot, that's the term going around. We aren't just talking about chatbots that answer questions anymore.
It's not at all.
We're talking about AI that does things, AI that investigates, that browses the web for you, and AI that can literally build a playable video game world just because you asked it to.
And that's the core theme, agency, moving from, passive processing to active engagement. And the wild thing is that Google didn't just drop this in a research paper. In this 1 week, they pushed this Gemini 3 logic into everything.
Into everything. Your browser, your phone's chip.
Even DNA sequencing. It's a structural shift.
It really is. So here's the plan. We need to start with the brains, the new research from DeepMind, specifically Project Genie, and this concept called Agentic Vision.
Then we have to look at how that actually hits our pockets, the new Chrome auto browse, and the subscription updates.
And we absolutely have to talk about the hardware making it all run. There's some big news on LiteRT and even quantum computing that explains why your phone isn't going to, melt.
And the boundaries.
Yeah.
Can't ignore the boundaries.
Oh, yeah. The massive espionage case that's just wrapped up involving Google's own chips and some pretty serious regulatory fights brewing in the UK.
It's a packed week.
So let's get into the research first. January 29th, Google DeepMind released Project Genie. I saw the headlines, and everyone was comparing it to video generators like Veo. But that seems wrong, right? This isn't a movie maker.
No, and that's the crucial distinction. A video generator, it just makes a flat movie file. You watch it, it's static. Project Genie, which is powered by this new Genie 3 model, creates an interactive environment. It's a world model.
So if I type in a futuristic cyberpunk city, it doesn't just show me a clip of this city. It builds a level I can actually play in.
Exactly. It builds a simulation where the laws of physics, or I guess the laws of that specific world, apply. You can control a character, move around. DeepMind rolled this out to Google AI Ultra subscribers in the US as a prototype.
That sounds incredible for gaming, but why is DeepMind building video games?
Well, because if an AI can simulate a world well enough to make it playable, it means it understands cause and effect. It understands that if I drop a ball, it falls. If I walk into a wall, I stop. That is the fundamental training ground for robotics. If you want a robot to navigate your kitchen, it needs a world model in its head.
It's practice for reality.
It's practice.
Speaking of reality, let's talk about Agentic Vision. This dropped on January 27th with the Gemini 3 Flash model. To me, this felt like the most direct example of that agentic pivot.
It really is. I mean, think about how standard computer vision works. You show an AI an image, it sort of glances at the whole thing at once and tries to predict what's in it.
Right, and if there's tiny text or a weird detail in the corner, it just guesses. And that's where you get those hallucinations.
Exactly. So Google introduced Agentic Vision. It uses a think, act, observe loop. Instead of just guessing, the model can actually write Python code to actively manipulate the image.
I loved this detail. The AI essentially says, I can't read that sign, so it writes a little script to crop the image, zoom in on just those pixels, and then it reanalyzes that section.
It's acting like a human investigator. It's admitting it doesn't know and then using a tool to find out. And the results are significant. They reported a consistent 5 to 10% quality boost on vision benchmarks. It's active perception.
Not passive observation. That is a huge shift. They aren't just static brains in a jar anymore. They have metaphorical hands.
Right.
And apparently they're also learning how to bluff.
The Game Arena update.
Yes. February 2nd, DeepMind expanded their Kaggle Game Arena. They've moved beyond chess and added Poker and Werewolf. Now, chess, I get, that's pure calculation, but poker.
Poker and Werewolf are what we call imperfect information games.
Okay.
In chess, you see the whole board. It's all there. In poker, you don't know what the other person holds. You have to deal with probability, psychology, deception.
So they're testing theory of mind. Can the AI understand that I might be lying?
Precisely. If we want AI agents to, say, negotiate contracts for us or navigate a messy real-world market, they need to handle deception. They need to understand that not everyone is telling the truth.
It's fascinating. They're teaching it to detect lies in the same week they release a tool to help cure diseases.
Alpha Genome.
Right, January 28th. This is the good guy AI.
It's a massive leap for science.
Mm-hmm.
Alpha Genome predicts the effects of mutations in non-coding DNA, the so-called dark genome.
Which we used to just ignore, right?
We did. We didn't know what it did. But this tool outperforms competitors in 25 out of 26 evaluations here. It's going to be critical for understanding genetic diseases and cancer.
So we have world models, Agentic Vision, poker-playing bots, and DNA decoders. That's the lab stuff. But let's see how this actually hits us, the consumer. Because on the 27th and 28th, Google started rolling this agency into products we actually use.
The headline here is Chrome Auto Browse.
This rolled out to the AI Pro and Ultra users in the US, and the promise is pretty wild. You give it a complex instruction like, book a weekend trip to Chicago for under $500.
It doesn't just give you links.
No, it goes and does it.
It navigates the websites, it fills out the forms, manages the whole session. But the real story isn't just that it can do it, it's how it does it. Because websites are messy.
So messy. Buttons move, layouts change constantly.
And that's where this Universal Commerce Protocol comes in. UCP.
I saw that acronym, so what is that?
Think of UCP as a universal phrasebook for the AI. Every checkout page speaks a slightly different language. UCP standardizes that interaction. It tells the agent, okay, regardless of what this button looks like, this is the purchase function.
Ah, so it's creating a common language for commerce so the agent doesn't get stuck.
Exactly. It's the missing link.
And they're connecting this logic across apps, too. On January 30th, they launched Personal Intelligence in beta.
This is the cross-app reasoning we've been waiting for. It connects Gemini to Gmail, Photos, YouTube, Calendar.
The example they gave was surprisingly practical. Look up a cookie recipe on YouTube, add ingredients to my shopping list, and find open grocery stores nearby.
And it sounds simple, but think about the technical hurdles there.
Oh, yeah.
It has to watch a video to extract ingredients, access a separate list app to write them down, and then query maps for real-time data. It's chaining tasks across 3 different walled gardens.
And doing it with one prompt. That's the Gemini 3 Everywhere strategy. It's in search now globally. It's in Gmail. And they are really trying to get people hooked with a new price point.
Google AI Plus, January 27th. They launched this tier in 35 countries at $7.99 a month.
Which is aggressive.
It's extremely aggressive. They are undercutting the standard $20 a month pricing we see from competitors. And they are bundling a lot, Gemini 3 Pro, 200 gigs of storage, and the image generator.
Which they are calling Nano Banana Pro.
Yes.
I have to ask, is that a real name?
It is the official name. It sounds a little ridiculous, I know, but the tech is serious. It's their on-device image generation model.
Nano Banana Pro. Okay. But despite the name, that nano part is key, right? Because this brings us to the infrastructure. To run any of this on a phone without the battery dying in 10 minutes, you need serious efficiency.
Which is why the LiteRT news from January 28th is so important.
Right. It graduated.
This is huge for developers. LiteRT is the evolution of TensorFlow Lite. It's now the universal framework for on-device AI.
And the big selling point here is the NPU support, the neural processing units.
Correct. They partnered with Qualcomm and MediaTek. And they released a metric that on the Snapdragon 8 Elite Gen 5, using the NPU with LiteRT, reduced latency to somewhere between just 1 and 20% of the CPU baseline.
That is just exponentially faster. But why is Google pushing this so hard? Why do they care if it runs on my phone versus their cloud?
2 reasons. Privacy and money. Mostly money. Every time you ask Gemini a question in the cloud, it costs Google compute power. It burns cash. If they can offload that processing to the chip in your pocket, the chip you paid for, they save billions.
And for me, it means my personal data, my photos and messages, never has to leave my device.
It's a win-win. It's an economic pivot as much as a technical one. They even open source the engine for it, LiteRT LM.
So anyone can build these on-device apps now.
They're building the ecosystem.
Before we move off hardware, we have to touch on that Nature paper from January 29th, AlphaQubit. This feels a bit further out, but it's fascinating.
It is. Quantum computers are powerful, but they're notoriously unstable. They make errors constantly because quantum states are so fragile.
Okay.
AlphaQubit uses machine learning to decode those errors.
So they're using AI to fix the quantum computer.
Exactly. It's a symbiotic relationship. The AI predicts the noise patterns and corrects them. It's an absolute prerequisite for building a reliable quantum computer, which in turn will eventually power even stronger AI.
It's a feedback loop. But look, we've talked about the shiny new toys and the fast chips. We have to talk about the stakes. Because this week wasn't just about product launches. A major legal case concluded that shows just how valuable this infrastructure really is.
You're talking about the spy case.
Leon Ding.
Right. On January 30th, Linwei Lianding, a former Google software engineer, was convicted on 14 counts of economic espionage.
And he wasn't stealing user data, he was stealing the blueprints for the hardware we were just talking about.
Over 2,000 pages of confidential information about the TPU v6, that's Google's tensor processing unit, and their GPU systems.
The V6. That's not just theft. That's stealing the roadmap for the next 5 years of compute.
It is. He was secretly working for China-based tech firms while he was still at Google. He's now facing up to 175 years in prison.
Wow.
It really underscores that these chips, the TPUs, the things powering LiteRT and AlphaQubit, they aren't just commercial products, they're national security assets.
Right. Governments are treating this tech as weaponry now.
They are. And the battles aren't just about spies. Google is also fighting on the regulatory front. On January 28th, the UK's Competition Authority, the CMA, made a pretty bold move regarding AI overviews.
This is a huge moment for the open web, isn't it?
It's pivotal. The UK CMA proposed requiring Google to let publishers opt out of having their content used in AI overviews without losing their ranking in general search.
Because right now, that's the leverage Google has. If you say, don't scrape my site for AI, you basically disappear from search entirely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Publishers claim they are bleeding traffic, some say by 33%, because the AI summarizes their articles and users just never click through. This regulation would break that bundle.
It would force a separation between search and summarization.
Which would fundamentally change the business model of the web. It's a mess. If publishers pull out, the AI gets dumber. If they stay in, they lose traffic.
And everyone is watching what the UK does here. It could set a global precedent.
It definitely could.
You know, amidst all this, the spies, the lawsuits, the poker-playing bots, there was one piece of news that felt genuinely hopeful. January 26th, the AI for Science Fund.
Yes. Google.org announced the 12 recipients of a $20 million fund. And the projects are using these exact same tools for critical work. They're using AlphaFold to predict crop diseases, to help with food security.
And mapping that dark genome we mentioned earlier with AlphaGenome.
It's a reminder that this technology is dual use. The same underlying logic that powers a werewolf bot to deceive you is also being used to decode the building blocks of life.
And they even partnered with Formula E this week, using Gemini for race strategy.
It's ubiquitous, from the racetrack to the hospital to the courtroom.
So let's wrap this up. We started by calling this the agentic pivot. When you look at the whole week, Jan 26th to Feb 2nd, what is the big picture?
I think we saw three pillars emerge. First, the tech itself became active. It's browsing, it's looking with intent, it's building worlds. Second, access was democratized.
With the $7.99 plan and the on-device tool?
Exactly. Getting this power onto every device cheaply.
And the third is the battlefield?
The battlefield. The espionage conviction and the regulatory fights show that this is now a critical economic resource. It's worth stealing, and it's worth regulating.
It really feels like we are at that tipping point where we stop just chatting with the AI and start, handing it the keys. With tools like auto-browse and personal intelligence, we are telling the machine, here, you handle it.
And that leads to the big question for everyone listening. We know Google is teaching its AI to play poker, to handle imperfect information, to bluff, to navigate a messy reality.
Right. So as these features roll out to your phone in 2026, you have to ask yourself, are you ready to trust an AI agent to book your flight, move your money, and manage your life? Or is the imperfect information of your real world still a little too complex for a machine that just learned to play cards?
Something to think about next time you ask your phone to buy groceries. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.